So I've never had the same guest twice on this podcast. It's not that I have a problem with it. Maybe it's a great idea. You're about to meet someone that we talked to about a year ago who was in some trouble at the time, was trying to put himself together at the time, was going to make great things happen at the time. And I can't wait to tell you how he's doing. Mark Aikens, next. Heat is on. Let's get cooking. This is Purpose Under Pressure. It's a podcast about people swing their feet out of bed every morning on purpose and what they do when those storms rise to knock them down. It happens, and we have to figure out a way around it or through it, and that's what this show is all about. Purpose Under Pressure is available just about anywhere you find your favorite shows. YouTube. It's on the Brian Media Strategies website. When you see it, do me a favor and like it. Follow it, subscribe to it, tell a friend about it. If you're listening and watching now, maybe you came back for a reason. Well, that's good enough to let someone else know it's here too. So if you don't mind doing that, it helps us to spread the word and helps to let other people know that it's worth watching too. Purpose Under Pressure is brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group, serving sales professionals nationwide from their Akron and Columbus, Ohio locations, also in Jacksonville, Florida. And they are doing it right. They are doing it well. They are one of the highest performing Sandler sales training affiliates in the nation, and they are going to make a difference for you and for your team. You'll do yourself a favor when you check them out online at therubygroup.sandler.com. So I'm trying to set up today's episode, and I want to tell you this first. I have done 160 some podcasts under a couple of different titles. Very rarely do I have the same guest on twice. I don't know if that's good or bad, because there's probably a lot of folks that you'd love to hear from again. Maybe I need to change my mind on that, but I haven't yet until today. Today's guest is the first ever double guest appearance, if that's the right way to say it, on Purpose Under Pressure, and I'm excited that he's back. The second thing I want you to know about today's guest is that when you met him last, and I urge you to look back at his show, episode number, whatever, look it up and find out, but it's in the archives. He said this that I'll never ever forget. He said, "Life showed me its ass." And at the time, I'm like, well, what the heck does that mean? And as I listened to the show, I learned that he, our guest today, was at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom. If you think you hit rock bottom, folks, I'm telling you, unless you can understand what this young man has gone through, perhaps you haven't. And not only did he hit rock bottom, but he fought and clawed and just willed his way out of it and turned himself into something that is making a difference. And so I thought, let's have him back. Let's see what he's doing. Let's see what he's up to. And I'm excited to introduce you to Mark Aikens. Listen to this. When he was on the show first time, a couple years back, he had just written a book called Challenge Your Perception of Cold Calling. He has since done this. He's written 2 more books, 111 quotes to challenge your perception. He's written You Are Still a Blessing. He has performed as a motivational speaker many times. He's a certified life coach and career coach, and is the owner of Gratifying Expressions, LLC. I'm Not Done. He is the outstanding graduate, and there's only one of those out of, I think he said, like 600 different schools that are part of the ACCSC Accrediting Commission for Career Schools and Colleges. He was their number 1 graduate. We'll probably talk about that today. He also has a YouTube series now called Something for Your Sunday. He's killing it. You're about to say hello to Mark Aikens. Mark, welcome back to Purpose Under Pressure.
Thank you. It's a blessing to be able to be here with you again. And I want to let you know that I have been seeing what you've been doing with this podcast, and just your existence, period, has been a blessing to so many others. So you are an inspiration. And so while Brian is telling you all the good things about me, he doesn't tell you how I fart in my sleep or I wake up with morning breath, right? All the good things. I want to say that ever since I've met you, this light that has come from you has been absolutely amazing. And I remember that you weren't even, you were doing your thing, but it wasn't your thing.
That's right.
And so now to see you in your own habitat is beautiful. You making it happen. I'll never forget. And don't get mad at me. I can't remember the name of the guest. I watched
It's
one of your
okay.
podcasts, and you were saying that you used to listen to this guy on the radio, and he was like an idol of yours. I think you know
Jeff
who I'm talking
Kinsbach from
about.
WMMS.
Yep.
Jeff Kinsbach. Yeah.
Because I remember him saying that him and his wife chased 70 degrees.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never forgot that. And so, I watch your podcast regardless, but it's just amazing to be able to see anyone walk in their purpose under pressure and then still care about anyone else being in their purpose under pressure.
Well, I
So you
appreciate that.
deserve your flowers and your roses, and you're amazing. And I'm grateful for everything that you do and your consistency.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But you have to understand, though, and I think that's all true. But it's these stories that give this show purpose, and it's why we do what we do. And so I'm blessed as well. I want to tell everybody that's listening that Mark is one of the people in this world that has not made it yet. Most of my guests have made something or done something great, and they're telling me about how they overcome hurdles to get it done. And it's a motivational way to say, look, if you do what I did, you can get to where I am. And I'm going to tell you right now, Mark, I know you haven't hit that spot yet. That doesn't mean that your story is not a story of success. Every day you're on this planet, one, and we're going to talk about this a little bit, is a success. It's a blessing for you and for all of us.
Yes.
But every day that you're working towards your dream is successful. And we're going to talk about that today. And I hope that the listeners and the viewers, if they're in a spot where they're like, man, I wish I could do something different. I wish I could do something more. I haven't quite lived up to my purpose yet. Mark, let's talk about that. And I want, if you can do in a quick summary, because I want to spend more time on what you're up to now, because people can go back and look at the old show. Tell me a little bit, Mark, about your past. Tell me what you went through in a quick summary. It's not a quick story, but if you can shorten it for me, and then we're going to talk about some of the things that get you through.
Absolutely. So I appreciate that. So thanks for being interested in my past. Thank you to all the viewers that's watching this and that continues to support Purpose Under Pressure. So I grew up in a single family household, a single parent household. I have two brothers. We're half brothers. We all have different fathers. And so growing up in that environment was a little bit tough. I was sexually abused by my older brother growing up. I was physically and sexually abused by my mother growing up at times. And so by the time I was 16 years old, I was working my first job. I bought my first car, and my mom actually sold my car while I was at work because my tags were expired. And so she forged my signature on the title and sold it to the junkyard, a running car. And so that was tough. And she used to make me pay her car note every 2 weeks out of a part-time job as a dishwasher while I was still in high school. When I was 15 years old, my mom told me to drop out of high school. She said that I wouldn't make it. I was a troublemaker. The first time I got arrested out of high school, I was 14 years old. And she gave up on me within 1 year and said that I would never make it. I'd never make the grades and get out. And then she would sign for me to drop out of high school legally because my older brother dropped out and my older cousin dropped out, who was the first one in my generation. So she wanted me to follow suit of dropping out, even though she didn't. And so I didn't do that, of course. And by the time I was a junior in high school, they told me I needed 22 credits by my senior year, and I only had 3/4 of one credit. So I needed 21 and a quarter credits by next year. And so that was a huge challenge there. That would talk about purpose under pressure, knowing that my mom already wants me to drop out and I have no support at home, and knowing that I'm already messing up here and the teachers, that they're not going to care if my parents don't care. It was all up to me. And so I had to make that happen. I actually graduated a month early, and that's a whole nother story. And so I worked also through high school, and I was a father at 19 years old. I have a 14-year-old daughter out in California. That was a very rough path. And then you get to the point at 22 when you shoot yourself. I was less than an inch away from my heart. I lost over 70% of my body blood, and every organ in my body shut down. 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I went for a follow-up appointment. And so my mom drove me because I couldn't even walk when I left the hospital. And my mom wouldn't even let me come live with her unless I gave her $250 a month. So I had to have $250 within 24 hours of leaving the hospital, and I couldn't walk or put shoes on. And so that's where I come. That's the type of family I come from. And so it was only a year after I shot myself that I was homeless on the streets of Cleveland, Ohio. And out of everybody that I know and all the family that I have, I couldn't sleep on nobody's back porch. I cried to sleep on people's in people's garages, and not my grandmother or any of my mom's sisters, my aunts. Nobody would let me stay at their place. No friends. It was a really, really tough time. And so to go through shooting yourself and then go through being absolutely homeless on the streets of Cleveland at 23 years old and being young and as handsome as I am, it was tough. It was extremely tough. And so to be able to come up out of that from beginning to end, as far as end being now, the God, you have to have a faith and a superpower that's more powerful than you, because there was something before you and there'll be something after you, and you figure out what that superpower is. Unfortunately, this generation likes to call it the universe, and they don't think that there's anyone truly responsible. They think that just it is what it is. But at the end of the day, it was the God, and God helped me develop a mindset to take it from there all the way to where I am now, and still not being at a total place of contentment, but being somewhere where I know I have been of impact and I can continue to be of impact, and I am able to provide for myself and my family. And so it's been a crazy, crazy journey. And then to take it from Cleveland to Houston, Texas is where I am right now. So shout out to Houston, Texas. It's been absolutely crazy, absolutely crazy.
So you're making things happen. And yes, folks, you heard the whole story. And I'm here to tell you that I don't care if your story is as bad or worse or different than his. Troubles are troubles. And when we have our problems, when we have our issues, we have our struggles, I don't care whether it's just that your shoes are too small. Problems have to be overcome. And we can take shortcuts and we can quit, or we can overcome and we can rise up. And I think, Mark, you rose up and you have overcome. And I think people do it every single day. And that's what this show is about. I'm interested now. And we're going to talk a little bit about the things that you've accomplished. Through all that, you are the same person. You're the same person that God created. I assume that your purpose is the same now as it always was. It just took you a while to figure that out. I'm interested what your purpose is. You swing your feet out of bed in the morning, put them on the ground, and go to work. What are you trying to do to make a difference in this world?
I truly feel like my purpose is to use my existence to fuel others, right? To use everything that I've been through as a form of me carrying the cross, a form of me going through what I've went through, being crucified by not necessarily people, but life. Because there are so many people in life who allow their society and their atmosphere to create them. And you're supposed to create your world and your society and your if we all realize that we are created, creation is of God, destruction is of the devil. Anything that destroys whatever you have going. If you are just trying to focus on a book, whatever is destroying your focus and your attention, that's of the devil. Creation is of God. That's why you are blessed when you're creating on your podcast, people who are entrepreneurs. That's why they get the money they get. They're creating. They're creating. The people who succeed in their positions, even when they work for someone else, it's because, and this is a real term, and I actually spoke to a gentleman earlier who told me this. He said, I made this position my own. He created. When you are of creation, realize that you have the power to create. Please do so. So continue to create. And so my biggest thing is allowing people to have a human who you may not have been going to school with, may not have lived in the same neighborhood with, may not be of the same bloodline, but for me to be wherever I am in the world at whatever point in my life, and to let you know that I'm dedicating myself to you. When you listen to your, and this is why I have an issue with rap music, is because, and I used to do rap music, but when you listen to rap music, they're talking to you. They say, I'm richer than you. I will take your wife. I will take your woman. I will take you. They're talking to you. So why let that impact you? Turn around and reflect it so that you're thinking, not me, you you and turn the mirror on someone else. So can we do that with the right message and realize that I am talking to you? And if you don't think it's you, please reflect that onto who you think I'm talking to. Because I believe that one of the biggest things that set me aside from any other motivational speaker, any other author, or anyone else who's doing what I'm doing is that I care. People do not care. They're doing what they love. Oh, when you're doing what you love, you're not working a day in your life. It ain't about what. Face your fears. If you're not doing something you're afraid of constantly, you're not growing. And so this isn't for me. Everything I do is for the people around me. And I believe, and so many people say they're afraid of having children today. I speak to so many people my age or younger, they're afraid to have kids because of society.
Yeah.
When we are the ones creating society. So
Yeah.
why don't you just create around you?
Do
Stop
something
being
about it, right?
afraid. But who's out here to care about you? Who's really going to care about what you do, what you think, and the fact that I don't change anyone? I'm not looking to I'm looking to challenge you. I hope that people realize that that's a immediate form of care, that I will challenge your perception. I never told you to change anything about yourself. That's up to you. That's my that's my passion. That's my purpose.
And that's what you do. And is it hard when, so you've written the books, you've written 3, the last 2, 111 quotes to challenge your perception, You Are Still a Blessing, are the last 2 books. The first one is completely original. So it's 111 quotes that you created.
Yes,
they're not, it's not a compilation. It's things that you believe and you've done, and you've done the research to make sure of that. That's a lot of work. The point I'm getting to is that when you are driven by by others, and yet you don't always get to see the impact that you have on others. You don't get to see someone reading your book or watch someone looking at your YouTube channel. Every once in a while, when you're a motivational speaker, you get to look out in the crowd, but even then the lighting keeps it on the first couple rows, right? How do you stay driven when you're not sure whether you're actually making a difference? How do you know, and how does that keep driving you?
It's an amazing question. And so this is going to seem freakish almost when I tell you what keeps me going and what keeps me, it's the people I didn't reach. So when I look at a video or a post and see that 1,000 people saw it, or 2,000 people saw it, or 100 people commented, or whatever, there's not 100 million. There's not 200 million. There's not 300 million. Some people are discouraged by where they're not getting attention or where they're not getting support. It encourages me. It drives me. I am so grateful for who's not paying attention, because I don't stop. And so I tell people all the time is that they say, oh, somebody's been sleeping on me is the common phrase, right? If they don't recognize what you're doing, they've been sleeping on you. Well, guess what? When people say, wow, Brian, you done came up overnight. You went from doing this to doing that. Look at your podcast. Mark, you came up overnight. You slept in. You slept on me too long. I didn't come up overnight. You know, a guy told me one time, they don't see your grind. They only see your shine. And so my whole thing is, when you're not paying attention to me, it doesn't mean I'm going to stop because I didn't get you. I'm just going to. That's all that is. So keep being difficult. Keep being difficult. Keep not listening. Keep not watching, because I'm going to keep going. And I believe in what I'm doing. And the more that I feel like there's more people to impact, I'm not going to be happy with 10,000, 20,000, 100,000, a million, 2 million, 3 million. I'm not going to be happy with that, because when you truly believe that what you're doing is meant to be in this world, there's much more to the world than just what you can imagine. In the state of Texas, we got, just the Houston metropolitan area, 8 million people, 9 million people. We're not even talking about the state. So when you talk about millions of followers, you're just looking for yourself. We're not worried about ourselves over here. Purpose Under Pressure ain't just for Brian.
No.
Challenge your perception, gratifying expressions ain't just for Mark. So what keeps me driven is knowing that there's still more work to do. There's still more people to touch.
One of the biggest problems we have as managers and leaders is sometimes we're not focusing on leading and we end up doing it for our sales team. How do we coach our people to help them figure out what self-limiting belief that they have that's holding them back from achieving the levels of success that they know they're capable of? Help them flush out what we call their own head trash, that thing that's holding them back. So work with your team, lead by example, watch your team achieve greater levels of success, and watch your team grow, and more importantly, watch your company and your business grow.
And so those folks that are still out there, I love that, first of all. I flat out love it because people ask me, hey, should I do a podcast and who's going to listen? I said, I don't care if one person listens. If one person listens and it changes their mind that day about something, you've won. It's the same amount of work that you do for one person Absolutely. As you do for every single person in the country. You just do it once. So you write the book once, it impacts lives. So you did the work. So all those people you're not reaching, but do you have any stories of one or two people that you have reached that you'll never forget? I bet you do. Do you have any stories of people whose lives are changed because you are doing the things you're doing?
Absolutely. So, you know what? There are multiple. Two come to mind off the rip. And so these are totally different people, totally different cities and states. I don't live around any of these people, but one I met randomly, the other one I do know. And so, real quick, I'll try to make this story quick as possible, but this is very impactful. So I have a guy that I know, and I don't want to make it too direct so that maybe he's uncomfortable with it, but he's got children, and he was going through a rough patch in life. And so everyone knows that what I am today is what I've always been. It just looks different. That's all. Even when I was somebody you didn't want to see walking down your street or you didn't want to see in your neighborhood mall or whatever, I was still the same person, believe it or not, just less control. That's really what it's all about. And so this guy, he's going through a tough patch. He's in between employment and all this good stuff. And so he tells me, and I won't say exactly what it is, but he said, I want to go back to school for XYZ. I said, well, okay, what you waiting on? He said, well, I never got a high school diploma. I said, okay, well, what you waiting on? You know, I said, well, I bet you right now he was in a relationship where his partner was working. He wasn't. And so I said, while your partner's working and you have the blessing of being here with your children all day, that's a blessing. You're watching them grow right in front of your face. While you have this blessing, I said, I guarantee you could be getting your GED online. We look it up. We look up the courses. I said, you could even go to your local library and take these courses. This brother, he cried. He says, I don't even have the money for these courses. He said, but if it was $500, I knew my mom would give me the money right now. He called his mom on the phone right then, and they had an emotional moment. She was so excited that he was thinking about going to get his GED. And the whole point of him getting his GED was to go to a career school for a certain vocational. And so I said, I tell you what, I bet you could do that from here. At least as far as getting signed up, you could probably do it from your own comfort, your own home. I said, if you make a step towards your future, I'll make a step towards mine right now. And this is when I was first considering doing speaking. And I said, if you sign up and you make this call, I'll cold call and find out where I can go speak at. And so his was a lot more smoother than mine. I got a bunch of nothings, and then I got one person on the phone, and I won't say what the college this was, but I begged and pleaded. It was in my field too, for me to come in, and I told some of my story, and I talked to this lady for over half an hour, and she just, no go.
She finally gave it.
No way. There's no way I would ever let you come here and speak to our students. And it's just, it was heartbreaking. But I knew if I could go through that, I could keep going.
I'm laughing because I know that's not going to shut you down. That's just going to inspire you more. I love that.
Yeah, that's fine. And back in the back of my mind, it's like, well, I hope she's nice to me when she reaches out to me one day for me to come speak.
Yep.
You know,
yep.
and I'll let bygones be bygones. But I had to go through that embarrassment and humiliation for myself and for who was sitting next to me. And so you probably
Did he get his GED? Did he get his GED?
I know. Everybody's there wondering, did he get the GED?
Yeah,
Did he go to school? And
I don't want to wait for your third appearance on this show to tell that.
well, look though, and so if you could believe it or not, that wasn't the highlight of the story. Because guess what? He did not go get his GED. This was about 3 years ago. He still didn't get his GED. He still didn't get into the trade school he wanted to go to, the vocational school. And so when I checked up back on him, I was trying to give him the motivation to let him know that I know the people around you may think it's impossible. I understand why it may seem crazy. And so I use this example. I use this example all the time right now because a lot of people can relate to this and no one ever thinks of this. It's just this crazy mind I have. Imagine right now, imagine Brian, you were the first one to invent a structure to keep people out of the elements. You were the first one to create a home that people can stay out of the elements. Children, women, yourself, you might invite people into your village. You created this concept and you brought it to fruition to keep people out of the elements. Now you imagine me barging through the door. Brian, I got a great idea. What is it, Mark? Let's cut some holes in the walls. Let's just put holes in the walls. Are you kidding me? We're going to put holes in the walls? I just built this place to get out of the elements.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you crazy? What's your problem? Holes? Why would you do? But guess what? To this day, there's no structure that could ever pass inspection or exist without windows.
Yeah.
Okay? So whenever you go to someone and they think you're insane for your idea, don't give up on your idea. Just give up on that person believing in it. It'll come back around. You gave it to them first, but at some point they'll come around to it. It's already there. I have to take this somewhere else. If you made hamburgers for a living and you sold one person a hamburger or tried to, are you gonna let all your meat spoil? No. I gotta go sell hamburgers. I gotta go sell them. Who's gonna buy them? You're not buying them.
Yeah.
I'll give you one for free because I know they're great since you don't believe in me, but I gotta go sell these. So who's buying them? And so he told me that no one man, no one human can ever change the world. It'll never happen. He looked me in my eyes. I knew him for over 15 years. And so I told him, what about the internet? I said, because only one person has to have an idea. It doesn't matter if it takes 1,000 to come together to bring it to fruition. Only one person has one idea for everything to happen. And so it took about 3 years. Once he's seen me starting to gear up, and I've done 3 commencement speeches. I couldn't believe I got on the board of directors out in Parma, Ohio for Parma Heights, and Seven Hills. I'm 3 books in. You know, the website's going, the YouTube series going. He sees me on podcasts. I've been in Code M magazine. I've been in the Black Professional magazine. And he tells me, he says, can I change what I said? I talked to him on the phone. He said, can I change what I say? He says, I do believe one person could change the world because it's going to be you. And so I think that by me just living in my purpose under pressure, that I was able to give him a different insight on life.
Yep.
And so no matter what he's working on or going to work on in his life, I know that I changed him by just being able to plant it in his head and then show him it's possible because we grew up together. And so another real quick one, this won't be as long because I didn't know this lady, but here I am. I believe that sometimes you should give up something to get something. Right? Sometimes they talk about making room in your life. And how you want a new car, but you won't clean out your garage. And so what I did was when the year started, I decided I was going to give up drinking. I've never fell down the stairs in my house. I've never come in and peed on myself or nothing crazy. I never, nothing like that. But I realized that when I'd done some of my greatest work, which is writing my book, which is something that some people, their whole life, they never get to. So when I did that, I was sober. I knew that if I really wanted to focus and give my all, I was sober. So I said, you know what? I got a poster board. I planned out my year. I'll make room for extras, but I planned out my year. And I said, I'm going to get to this by being sober. I'll party when it's time to party, you know? And so I gave up drinking for a great amount of time this year. And so what happens is here I am in New Orleans. I know a guy in New Orleans. It's around Carnival. Everybody's partying. Come on, we're going out. We're doing this. We're doing that. I said, okay, let's go ahead. But I'm not doing nothing. So we go to a bar and he's having a great time and everything's cool. I'm just being myself. I mean, I'm not looking to display it right now, but I can be a hoot, I suppose. I mean, I had everyone just dying laughing. It was amazing. It was just so natural though. And so then these ladies walk in, and so that we're talking to them or whatever, and one's just really defensive over the other one. I mean, just extremely, to the point where she started saying racist stuff to me. But it was to the point where she thought it was okay. So she'd say stuff like, "Oh, you guys are going to watch us leave so you can come and rob our houses and ride down our streets and play all your rap music and stuff." But I can look at her and tell that wasn't even her. Like, this is all a defense mechanism. So maybe you love the woman that you're with, or whatever the case may be, or maybe you're afraid and you think that if you throw something like that out, we'll get mad, we'll back off or go away. Keep in mind, I'm married, and this was nothing like that. My friend, he's single, and if he wants to talk to your friend, that has nothing to do. Me as a wingman is just to make sure that you're okay so that they can make a connection. And I was never even really doing that before she just flipped off the handle. But I would tell you, Brian, I talked to this woman for about a half an hour and made her cry twice before she hugged me and said I changed her life. This is crazy. We sat down and talked. It was so crazy that people came over and checked on us because we're still sitting across the table. There's no affection. There's no nothing. She's looking at me. I'm looking at her. There's eye contact. There's no screaming, and no one can believe that it went from where it was to where it is. And when her friend was ready to go, she hugged me and said that I changed her life forever.
You just weren't going to let go, were you? You weren't going to let go.
Well, the thing is that there was so much that was going on in that conversation, and she opened up about what she's been through. And so I don't know why I have that gift, but I have that gift where people will talk to me. Mm-hmm. That's fantastic.
Yeah, they do.
But my whole thing was just the fact of, you are saying what you think makes sense or makes you comfortable for the situation you're in without considering the next person. Now, even if someone is an expert on sarcasm, or if someone gives you the benefit of the doubt, what exactly makes you think that everything or anything that you can say or put together is going to make someone more comfortable or comfortable to be in that position? If you are here to do the opposite of making someone comfortable or more comfortable, you're now the devil. That's the destruction. We just talked about that. You're supposed to create a positive, comfortable environment. And just like in sales, I tell people, when you're cold calling, if you can make someone comfortable over the phone, yes or no, do you think that they will be comfortable with sitting alone with you in a conference room or for coffee or lunch? If right now I made you feel uncomfortable from a phone call, let's be real here. Anyone who's in sales who's watching this, and you know it too, if you're cold calling someone on the phone, you've got between 10 seconds and maybe 45 seconds. If it's going really well, you got 2 minutes. Even if it's going really well, you have no more than 2 minutes.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Come on. You just called a complete stranger. You might talk yourself out of the deal, or you talking to the wrong person. You're not going to get more than 2 minutes on a cold call. And once you get that, and they're comfortable with talking to you, then they'll meet you in person. Nobody's going to invite you to their second home for you to come in and do something odd or use a weird tone or they're expecting. And that's why people say it's good to put a face with the voice, because they've already pictured you. Because of how you've made them feel. Somebody warm, somebody that's inviting, someone who's relaxed. And so when they get to see you and it is what they thought, that's why I say it's good to put a face with the voice. It's good to finally, because they have that warm feeling already, and now they can confirm.
Yeah. I think that's why you're so good at what you do. I think it's why when you wrote the book about cold calling, what was it, Challenge Your Perception of cold calling. And I think it's why when you help people now, I think it's why you're so good at it is because you truly do care about the other person. A lot of people say it. I just really think that even when you're cold calling, you're not trying to get the appointment. Why do you cold call? To get the appointment or to get the sale or to close the deal. How can you affect this person in a positive way? If it happens to be through your products or through your meetings or whatever, it might be fine, but maybe you can help them in 100 different ways. And I think you care about that. And that's a true skill. We're running out of time, Mark. I'm interested in this because I think your answer might be different than any I've ever heard. Fast forward 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 70 years, whatever it might be. And we're looking back on the career and the impact of Mark Aikens. Now, I don't want you to tell me what you think it ought to be. I want you to tell me what it's going to be. I have this feeling you've got a goal set up. What have you accomplished and what have you done and what difference have you made in your lifetime that you're working on now so that in the future people look back and say, yep, that's what he did. What is that thing for you?
100%. So I will be the greatest thing next to a world leader. I will be. Me and my beliefs will be the greatest thing next to a world leader for people to look to. All of my believings will become at some point a part of the education system because it's not about the masses. It's about the individual because individuals make up the masses. I will go down as being one of the greatest speakers that has ever been born on the face of the earth, that has given one of the most impactful speeches that will always be remembered and carried throughout the ages, just like the Martin Luther King I Have a Dream speech. You don't have to have known the whole speech verbatim. You may have never heard the whole speech verbatim, but you know that it exists.
And you know
And
what
you
it's about.
understand the concept of it, and you've somehow been affected by it. That will 100% in my life's work even happen. And what I look to do with my speaking as well, and I know I would have done, is to make speaking almost as common as a record label. And I will tell you what I mean by that. I will create a nation of speakers because what I tell people who do music, so where I come from and the life that I've lived, a lot of people look at entertainment as a way out, whether it be sports, using your body, or whether it's going to be using your brain and your mouth by going ahead and speaking. And they do it with music, singing, rapping. There's always something. They don't look further than entertainment. And it's a sad thing. So what if I can provide a form of entertainment and also put the education into it, this communication thing? Because as I talked to my wife, we went to two different schools. She went to private, I went to public, and we're in totally different neighborhoods. When have you ever heard of a talent show with a motivational speaker at a child's school? So when you talk about music, and you sit there and I tell these guys that I know who do music, and some of them, they are grimy individuals. They are people you don't want to see coming. They don't look, I'm alive. They don't do anything to me, but I'm just saying these are the people who have these intentions. They have no self-control. These are grown men with no self-control and they're way too emotional. And so I say right now, how many records you want to sell? This is the common number. Nobody never seen a million, nothing. Never seen a million ants. They say, I want to sell 1 million. I say, okay, 1 million people. I say, what's your best record? Oh, Shoot the Block Up. Okay, how long is that? About 3-4 minutes. Boom. You got 4 minutes to get on stage in front of 1 million people. But I'm going to take the music off of it. So now you're just talking. I'm going to cut your instrumentals. You're just going to talk to 1 million people. You either win them or you lose them. Are you going to recite the words from your most famous song or the song that you want to be your most famous song? Now that's impact.
Wow.
Because I challenge your perception. This is what I'm wonderful at doing. And so this is what I'm saying.
That's a mind changer. Yeah. That changes
at
yourself.
At some point throughout my existence, I'm going to take this because hip hop is dead. And it's such a slow dying process because the substance is gone. Why it started out and with the voice was they're losing substance. It's becoming a trend. And so a culture is not a trend. A culture is what you live by. If you've been eating pasta every Sunday at your mother's house, it's not a trend. It's what you live by. It's your culture. If you love Italian food, if you've been eating matzo balls and celebrating searching. So it's like, to talk about violence abusing each other, and that's a trend. That's not going to last forever, because guess what? When you hit a certain age, you no longer want to participate in it. You no longer want to hear about it. And so you disassociate yourself. So why should it be okay for the ones behind you? And I feel like that if we're able to use creativity and our forms of creativity and take what was music and put it into speaking, look at Maya Angelou. And it's not just for people of a certain color. It's period. I think that if communication was on the top of your goal agenda, you get every job you wanted. You be with every partner you wanted. And you be doing things you never imagined just because you can communicate. And that causes a certain level of comfort with the next person, because they don't have to wonder so much on what they're missing or what's lacking from this particular connection, right? Because you putting it all out there.
I have to ask this last question. All of that is part of your accomplishing your dream of being the best, the greatest, making the biggest impact. I mean, those were not small dreams. How in the world does that come from someone who missed taking his own life by a fraction of an inch just a few years ago?
That's a wonderful question, and a little bit of a tough one to dive into. But the 100% serious answer of that is because I believe in God 100%. And you call God what you want to call God. There's been different messiahs or prophets that come outside of one mass creator, whether you want to call the universe or not. But this is what I 100% believe, that when I turned that gun on myself and I shot myself, you just imagine if you bought your child or anyone in this world something that you knew was so precious to you that it was impossible for them to ignore. And you watched them 100% destroy and obliterate that thing. You would not give them that again for them to enjoy the way they were supposed to. And so I feel like that God decided my life was not for me anymore. And the reason why he saved me is for others. And I'm not here to ignore that. I'm not here to ignore that.
I love that. I love that. I think you're here. You realize that you couldn't do it on your own. You realize that you were far better with him, and you took on that challenge, and away you've gone. And so is that kind of the same thing people should expect from you? I'm thinking about your business. I'm thinking about Gratifying Expressions as a certified life coach, a certified career coach, folks who need a little bit of direction, maybe a change of perception. They should reach out to you, right? How would they find you in that method? I hope people do, but how would they reach out to you and connect with you?
Absolutely. And whether it's going to be from 18 to 45 to 50, anyone who's going through a point in their lives where they feel like that they are something greater than what they display, that your potential is greater than your performance. When you feel like that you are possibly giving your all, yet there is unseen forces holding you back. It could be for lack of understanding. And if anyone's looking to reach out to me, you can go to yesiammark.com, Mark with a K, yesiammark.com. I'm also on Facebook, Mark Akins. It's Mark with a K, Aikens with a strong A, A-K-I-N-S. If you go on YouTube, it's Mark Aikens or Challenge Your Perception. Instagram, Challenge Your Perception. The O's are zeros on Instagram. So the O in the O in perception are zeros. TikTok, check me out on TikTok, Challenge Your Perception. I'm on Twitter. So if you're looking for me, you're going to find me. I'm on
Where's
Amazon.
Your book? How do people find your book?
All 3 books are on Amazon. If you're looking for me on Amazon, they're all going to be there. They're all on my website as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing from you all.
Tremendous. Mark, we're going to have to do a third show. I don't know. You give me a call when you're ready, when you're at the next level. You've got a long way to go, but you've come so far. And I just love that about you folks. This is Mark Aikens, and he's not done. I think that's the best way that I can tell you who he is and what he's done. He's not done it yet. He's done a lot, and he's been through a lot, and he's not done. And Mark, I just wish you Godspeed and the best success of all time. And I know you'll tell me, hey, today's the best I can do. And I just love that about you. Thank you very much for sharing your where is he now and where is he going version of yourself here on Purpose Under Pressure.
Thank you, Brian. I appreciate everything.
Tremendous. I know you do. I tell you what, folks, that's the real deal. I don't like to have the same guests on twice. I just don't. I've never done it before. And I needed to know where he was. And I'm really glad that we found out. And I'm glad that you were here to find that out too. Not only is it the only time I have two guests on, this is also the longest edition of Purpose Under Pressure has ever been. But I think the story is worth telling and it's worth listening to. And I'm glad that you were here. So that's Mark Aikens. Check out his books. Check out his business, Gratifying Expressions. If you're looking for a motivational speaker, he's not going to let you down. Check him out and let him sell you on that. And just best wishes to him and to anybody out there that is finding themselves in a similar spot to him. When you're feeling down, I just want you to know that there's nothing but up in front of you. And Mark wants you to know that too. And if you need someone to talk to, I bet you he's the guy. That's Mark Akins, our guest on Purpose Under Pressure. It's brought to you by Sandler by the Ruby Group. Sellers are under pressure to perform, and Sandler helps you to succeed on purpose. You'll find all past episodes of Purpose Under Pressure at brianmediastrategies.com/podcast and wherever you stream your favorite shows. We do this every week, and we will see you next time on Purpose.